It was Christmas Eve in a quiet, snow-dusted suburb outside Minneapolis, the kind of neighborhood where porch lights glow warm and every house looks like a postcard, and that was exactly why the scene felt unreal when I pulled up without calling, my tires crunching softly on the icy driveway, my chest tight with a feeling I couldn't explain, a mother's instinct screaming that something was wrong. And before I even reached the front door, I heard laughter spilling out, glasses clinking, music humming low and cozy, while off to the side near the back patio, I saw my daughter Lily standing barefoot on the frozen stone, her thin sweater soaked from melting snow, her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to disappear, her breath coming out in weak white puffs, and for a moment my mind refused to accept what my eyes were seeing, because inside the house the fire was blazing, the windows fogged with warmth, silhouettes moving happily, and outside my child was shaking so hard her teeth clicked, her lips blue, her eyes hollow in a way I had never seen, and I ran to her, dropping my purse, wrapping my coat around her, feeling how ice-cold her skin was, how light she felt like she hadn't been eating, and when she looked up at me she didn't cry or speak. She just leaned into me with a broken sound that tore something open in my chest. And that was when the back door swung open, and my son-in-law Mark's cousin laughed drunkenly and said, "Oh, relax. She just needed to cool off." Like my daughter was a misbehaving dog, not a human being, not my child, and something inside me snapped so cleanly it felt calm, deadly calm, as I stepped past him into the house holding Lily close and said the 6 words that made the room fall silent. "This ends tonight." Touch her again, and suddenly everyone was staring. Champagne flutes frozen midair, smiles sliding off faces, the fire crackling loud in the shock, and Mark stood up slowly from his chair by the fireplace, his jaw tight, his eyes cold, the same eyes I had learned to distrust the day Lily married him, the day she started apologizing for things that weren't her fault, the day her laughter became quieter, and he said, "You're overreacting." In that smooth voice abuser's perfect, but I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just looked around and noticed the details I had ignored before. The locked thermostat, the way Lily flinched when Mark shifted his weight, the bruise half hidden under her sleeve, the way his mother watched with irritation instead of concern, and in that moment the truth lined up like dominoes. All the missed calls, the canceled visits, the excuses, the isolation. And I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a system. A family that drank and laughed while my daughter froze outside both literally and emotionally, and when I said I was taking her home, Mark laughed again and said, "She's my wife," and Lily's fingers tightened in my sweater like she was drowning, and I said quietly, "Not anymore," and that was when he tried to grab her arm, and I stepped back and the room exploded into chaos, voices rising, someone shouting about ruining Christmas, someone else telling me to calm down. And through it all, Lily started shaking harder, whispering, "Please, don't leave me," over and over, and I promised her I wouldn't, not now, not ever, and when Mark blocked the door, I pulled out my phone and dialed 911 with my thumb steady as stone and said clearly that my daughter was being held against her will and left outside in freezing temperatures as punishment. And suddenly the laughter died completely. The champagne glasses were set down too fast, faces drained of color. Because bullies are brave until consequences walk in, and while we waited I wrapped Lily tighter, and she finally started crying, deep sobs that shook her whole body, and between them the truth poured out, about how Mark controlled the money, the phone, the heat, how his family believed obedience was love, how mistakes were punished, how being sent outside wasn't the first time, just the coldest, and each word felt like a knife and a relief at the same time, because silence had been his strongest weapon and it was breaking. And when the police arrived, the house that had looked so perfect from the street felt small and ugly, the fire still burning uselessly as officers listened, took photos, felt the ice on Lily's skin, and Mark's confident mask cracked as he tried to explain, to joke, to charm. But the facts didn't care, and neither did the law, and when they told him to step aside, Lily didn't look at him. She looked at me, and for the first time in years there was something like hope in her eyes. Fragile but real, and that night she came home with me, wrapped in blankets, sleeping for hours on my couch while snow fell quietly outside like the world was starting over. And in the days that followed, the truth kept unraveling. Texts, recordings, witnesses, neighbors who had seen her outside before but hadn't wanted to get involved, and each revelation was shocking not because it was dramatic, but because it was so ordinary. The kind of abuse that hides behind holiday lights and polite smiles. And when the case went forward, Mark's family tried to spin the story, tried to say Lily was unstable, dramatic, but the photos, the temperatures, the medical reports told a colder, clearer story. And the day Lily signed the divorce papers, her hands didn't shake. And when she testified, she didn't cry. She just told the truth. And sometimes that's the most shocking thing of all. And on the next Christmas Eve, we sat together by my own fireplace. Just the two of us, the house quiet, the air warm, Lily wearing thick socks and laughing freely. And she looked at me and said, "You saved my life." And I shook my head and said, "No, sweetheart, you saved it the moment you survived." But deep down, I knew the real ending of that story wasn't the police or the court or the headlines that never came. It was the moment a mother listened to her instinct, showed up unannounced, and refused to let silence win. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is just 6 words, and mean every one of them.